What's going on, guys? All right, so today I want to give you what I believe to be the fastest build going into season 1 for Rogue. There's been several changes to the glyphs Paragon board, to the aspects in which I am theory crafting going into season 1, but mainly the main changes in the leveling build has already been tested, moving into, or from the eternal realm. It's just moving into season 1. The aspect changes, there's a lot that I want to test, but mainly going into the aspect changes. I believe that an auto attack build is definitely going to be viable. But anyway, so what I want to start with, I'm going to come back to the auto attack build. We're going to focus on the leveling build because that's priority first. We want to level, and then once we hit end game, we're going to be doing a lot of theory crafting. But all right, so while leveling, essentially 1 to 25, this is guaranteed. If you want to level all the way to 50 with this build, it's definitely possible. However, around 25 is when I'm most likely going to start swapping over to Twisting Blades, because once you get Inner Sight at 25, Twisting Blades becomes, I want to say on par, but maybe definitely like slightly better for bossing, specifically because of the, like, once you get the orbital blades and you have Inner Sight, so you can spam it. The damage on Twisting Blades is going to outscale Rapid Fire, but definitely 1 to 25 Rapid Fire is going to be fastest. So I'm going to give this entire build and kind of graph it out if you were to go to 50, but around 25, like I said, that's when I'm going to start swapping over to Twisting Blades and Inner Sight until I get enough energy management to run Twisting Blades at end game, and then I'll do combo points. But combo points in a basic attack build is going to be really strong. I just want to note this before I go into the build, because if you look at the patch notes, so the main thing that I want to highlight are the aspect changes, the passive changes. But what's more important for this build, I highly suggest you go over this specifically. What's more important for this build is the new rogue aspect that they added. Every third cast of puncture is poison imbued. So now poison imbued is a poison imbuement, and poison rogue is going to be even stronger in season 1 than it was in Eternal. So remember who put you on a poison rogue, guys. But other than that, like I said, there's insane cooldown reduction, imbuement cooldown reduction, traps cooldown reduction, nerfs to rogue. So pay very close attention to that. Trap rogue may potentially be dead. We're gonna come back to that. We're definitely gonna come back to that. Another thing I just want to note are the buffs to the legendary aspects, so that this build is not really going to reflect. Obviously, they haven't had a chance to update D4 builds yet, so it's not really going to reflect the percentage numbers until they get on the current patch. But as of right now, this is what I believe to be the fastest build for 1 to 25, and then 25 plus. Again, I'm pretty much just swapping over to TB. All right, so I'm using Disobedience. It did get nerfed, but it shouldn't be a big deal for leveling. I'm using Manglers for the days, and then this is gonna pair with extra crit upon not knocking down a dazed enemy. I'm gonna have days on Twisting Blades as well as days on Puncture. Twisting Blades when I go 25 plus. Noxious Ice for the extra damage to chilled enemies, Penitent Greaves, obviously. So if you get Noxious Ice and you don't have Penitent Greaves, the goal is to take away dash and use Caltrops. Using Caltrops with chill is actually good regardless, because you're gonna get extra CC to mobs, and then you can also opt for, once you start getting a lot of chill, what you can do is you can opt for Frigid Finesse and deal increased damage to chilled enemies. And that's honestly, it's more lucrative to go into that, because rapid fire, you're not going to have a lot of energy problems, because rapid fire has like almost infinite energy. All right, so aspect of might, we're going to be gaining DR from basics again. Corruption, imbuement, obviously this is nothing's changed here. Imbuements is still going to be your massive massive damage bonus. The only problem is that we did have a cooldown reduction nerf, meaning we're gonna have to focus more on getting CDR in order to balance out the CDR nerfs to our imbuements. And also we're going to we're really heavily going to try and get the resets on our poison. So here's where things get a bit person specific. Okay, so for going the basic attack build, what I actually want on my ring is the new aspect that gives you poison on basic attacks. Now because of this, typically I would replace aspect of the expectant for my bursting venoms, which gives me resets on imbuement. And I believe bursting on this bursting venoms is going to be essential to run poison imbue. That way you can you can guarantee yourself some poison resets when this procs. Otherwise your cooldowns are going to be longer, you're going to do less overall quick burst damage, and you're really going to feel the nerf. So again, I would replace expectant with bursting venoms if you're going the basic attack build. If you're not going to go basic attack build and you want to go for regular green emerald, then you're going to have to make a few changes where you would get rid of the damage on puncture and you would move that to some of your other damage passives and crit passives. But me, like I said, I am gonna go straight for basic damage. I'm gonna test out this new aspect, test out because it's permanent. Puncture is always up. You have no cooldowns. And this is why I believe they gave us the cooldown nerfs to our poison skills, so that we can lean more towards puncture and applying poison through our auto. So I'm gonna buff out my puncture, buff out the poison imbuement, buff out rapid fire. Don't really need a lot of CDR. My passive, I'm gonna be getting that from gear. Gonna get siphoning strikes. You could knock down 2 of these points if you want extra damage for speed, but I just like to be safe. Weapon mastery. Alright, so here, this is where I would put these two points from siphoning. I would put them straight into concussive. That way, if you're going for pure speed, you're gonna have massive amount of crit from this concussive. And definitely shout out to Penrose, as we've been theory crafting a lot preseason and going into season 1. I've gotten a lot of information from him. We've been bouncing ideas off of each other. So the stun on Shadow Step is always good, but what I believe to be better for leveling is actually going to be the Shadow Step cooldown reduction. And then again, we're using dash here, but if you don't have any form of applying ice and you want your damage bonuses to ice, what you're going to do is replace dash with caltrops, and you're going to get the chill. Obviously you replace that here. So again, agile, this is another node where if you want to greed for damage, you can take it out, and I would take this and move it over to precision imbuement. However, having agile again is another safety tool. Exploit and malice, best in slot. I took the points out of poison trap. The points that would typically be in poison trap are now in puncture, because enemies are not going to be standing still, obviously. So I figure it's better to have it in puncture if you're going for a basic attack build. Obviously, we're still going for the reset on poison trap. The reset is absolutely mandatory. Like, you'd never take this off of poison trap. We're using poison imbuement with the critical poison damage, increase damage on deadly venom, increase damage to chilled targets and frozen targets, and then obviously haste for the movement speed. We're using precision here, that way we can get the overall crit damage bonus, and that's going to be really nice considering you're using almost all marksman skills. If you want to go for your pure attack speed and utility, then you go for close quarters combat. All you would have to do is shadow step into an auto attack, and then you would essentially have the attack speed bonuses from close quarters, just from one shadow step and one auto, because you'd be essentially using both skills. All right, So that is the rapid leveling build, you guys. All right, now for the poison auto attack build, and this is what I'm more so leaning towards 25 plus, kind of building towards at 50. As I get enough of these items, I will start moving into twisting blades. I'm just gonna highlight the major changes between the two builds. And the only real changes is I actually have twisting blades here. Now, obviously, I'm not using the rapid fire aspect on either build. I just don't think it's worth it, to be honest. If you want the extra little chance of AoE cleave, sure, add it. I don't think it's worth it, as rapid fire is better as a single target skill. So obviously, replacing that same slot where we have open on this build, we're using the actual twisting blades aspect, which is absolutely necessary if you run twisting blades. There's no point to run twisting blades without blade dancer's aspect. There's no point to run twisting blades without enough energy. So again, if you're leveling with this build, you take out combo points and you go intersight. That for the energy sustain mostly. All right, now for accelerating aspect, it's still the same. Basic attacks and attack speed is still the same. Condemnation for the basic attack speed, because this is a basic build. And then it'll boost the damage of my core skill. Now again, so I would potentially take out expected for the new poison aspect once it is added. I would definitely take this out and keep the basic attack speed, because basic attack speed with condemnation makes your auto attacks completely cracked, and then you'll be applying poison every third hit. It's going to be a fun time theory crafting is all I can say. Yes, Rogue has gotten a ton of nerfs, but with this build, I'm seeing a lot of fun changes to Rogue. It's changing the way we have to think. Yes, some things were nerfed, but we got an insane buff in our combat glyph or our combat paragon board, because once we add the combat glyph, it's now boosting all damage, meaning it's going to boost our auto attack poison damage, it's going to boost our poison imbuement damage. So we're getting damage bonuses from our glyphs, we're getting damage bonuses to our imbuments, indirect damage bonuses, and then we have the indirect bonuses from our malignant hearts. We don't know all the malignant hearts that are going to be in the game, so that's why I have these two open. But as of right now, I have just downloaded all of majority of the information that I have been studying going into season 1. If you guys have any questions, comments, please drop them in the comment section below, and I will see you in a couple of days, fam. Peace and love.